T.O. or AJ?
Me
you got
personally,
one game, John. You got to win one ball game. You got one receiver. You need them, and they're both in their peak.
Randy Moss.
No, that's not the fucking question, J-Mac.
I would rather have a happy and healthy AJ Brown than T.O.
Wow. Really?
So if you're talking about AJ in 22, I'd rather have AJ in 22 and 23 than, and one of the reasons why, T.O. was a headache too.
They're all headaches.
Yeah, they're all headaches to a certain level. So I don't. So people say, well, like T.O. wasn't a fucking headache. It's bizarre to me. The revisionist history is bizarre to me. I think as you get off of it, in 10 years, I think people that still like the Eagles and follow the Eagles, I think they'll realize how good he was. I think. Like I said at the start of the show, I hope he and Jalen get to a point where they realize what they accomplished together.
I think they will get to that.
And that's another.
I don't know if AJ's perceived, and
now I wasn't here. I wasn't here for that Eagles team, but I know. But I've seen some pretty good teams.
Where were you at that time? Were you covering Were you covering the Vikings, or were you covering basketball?
I was still covering the Vikings at that time. So I've seen Randy at his height. And I've seen a 15-1 team, which was phenomenal, a phenomenal team. And I said all the way up to 2022, that was the best team I've ever seen in person. And I said, this team is better than I remember having the argument with Jody because they didn't win. So Jody said the 2017 Eagles team was better. And I said, no, they weren't. No, the 22 team was the best team I ever saw. And I still think it's the best team I ever saw. I think it's better than the 2024 team. 2024 team is really fucking good though, as well. But I think the 2022 team is the best team I've ever covered. And I know people will revision and say that team was better. And I'm like, I doubt it. And, that's about far more than just the receivers. That's about everything. But AJ was a big fucking part of that, of how good that team was.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I don't know that, and I'm not the perfect person to talk on this because I haven't watched them all as much as I've watched AJ, but AJ, as much as I like AJ, and I think some fans are stupid about him because they do act like he wasn't this great player now that he left. He obviously was a great player. I never thought he reached the level of those guys in terms of, like I said yesterday, I don't think AJ is a Hall of Fame player. And that's not that he's not a Hall of Fame talent, but I don't think his career has gone the way of a Hall of Fame player. T.O. is. Nobody was questioning that. You brought up Randy. You brought up these other. Nobody's questioning any of those guys going to the Hall of Fame. You might have a different flavor that you prefer. I don't know that AJ ever entered that conversation. He's not even the best or close to the best in his era. I mean, Jefferson and Chase are going to get that.
Well, that's one of the things that drives AJ. I mean, AJ, was drafted into a situation where Derrick Henry was there. And then he came here and he had the 2 years where he was off the charts and then they got Saquon. And, there's not too, if you go through the other great receivers, you're not going to see running backs like that. You're just not. You'll see a bunch of good ones. But I mean, that's for a receiver, that's kind of bad luck in a weird way. As far as numbers, when you're talking about, and unfortunately, numbers drive Hall of Fame especially at receiver. So, I mean, that's definitely certainly something that AJ has looked at. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think he's closer to being a Hall of Famer than you think he is. But
We had Armando Salguero on yesterday, who is a Hall of Fame selector. He said he's definitely talented enough for the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah,
the numbers,
God, yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. Gift wise, yeah. But yeah, he's got to keep. Like I said, if he gets 2 more All Pros in New England and another Super Bowl, he's a no doubt about it Hall of Famer. Now that's very difficult to do, but
what about 2 more All Pros and no Super Bowl?
Then they'll probably, in that situation, that'll be 5 All Pros. He'll be borderline, I would say,
because there is the big logjam at receiver net right now, isn't there? And then I mentioned the guys that
but
I think
a bunch of those guys don't even fucking belong in the conversation. They don't have 5 All Pros. They just have numbers. They're compilers. Like people get obsessed with those numbers.
Yeah, Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith.
Yeah, he's better than. Give me those numbers. Give me those names.
Torrey Holt.
Torrey was good.
He has over 13,000 receiving yards.
He's
Reggie Wayne, multi-time finalist, 8,000-yard seasons in a ring with the Colts. I don't have their full numbers.
Peyton Manning, by the way.
Yeah, and then Steve Smith.
Steve Smith, very unique player. They're all great players. They're all certainly worthy of Hall of Fame.
Like they all had to wait because what's his name just got in. Shit, what's his name? I'm blanking on his damn name right now. Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah. Well, Larry's a no-brainer.
Much. I mean, he got in this year. He was. I think he was the first ballot.
Yeah, he's first ballot. Yeah. He's definitely not Larry Fitzgerald. None of those guys are Larry Fitzgerald. So, I mean, look, he's still got to do more, but he certainly will be in the conversation. And I'm trying to look where Pro Football.
Because then you're going to have guys like Devontae Adams coming up. He'll be a Hall of Famer. Mike Evans, I don't know if he's probably going to be a logjam guy. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
know. I'm just trying to see, like, you know what I mean. And then you have the
I don't think
guys
it's. I don't think it's about. It's about first ballot. Like he's not going to be a first ballot guy, but I mean, he's definitely got to do more. But like I said, if he gets to those, like right now, if you look at his Hall of Fame monitor, it's higher than Justin Jefferson on Pro Football Reference.
Do they do a Hall of Fame monitor? I didn't know they did that. Yeah. That's pretty cool. What is that, Pro Football Reference?
That's about longevity. I mean, they're both not near because they don't have the longevity yet. But if they continue going at their, like if Jefferson continues another 5 years at his pace, he's a no-brainer. First ballot.
Well, he better get a better quarterback.
Well, that comes
out a little more.
But the when you talk about the best receivers of all time, according to Pro Football Reference, so take it as you will. Jerry Rice 1, Randy Moss 2, Marvin Harrison 3, Larry Fitzgerald 4, T.O.'s 5, Steve Largent 6, Lofton 7, Lance Allworth 8, Chris Carter 9, Tim Brown 10. Those are your top 10 receivers of all time. And AJ's got a long way to go. He's got to, so does Jefferson. But
how many Pro Bowls does AJ have? Or not Pro Bowls, all pros?
3. Second
no
team.
No first team though, right? Yeah.
No. But second team counts. They count them. Those are very valuable. And he got them all in Philadelphia, by the way. He was a 3-time All-Pro in Philadelphia. I always like looking at the as we go into this tangent, the best 10 quarterbacks of all time. Tom Brady 1, Peyton Manning 2, Aaron Rodgers 3, Brett Favre 4, Johnny Unitas 5, Joe Montana 6, Drew Brees 7, John Elway 9, Dan Marino 10. That's why you should listen to me, man. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. How long have I been telling people? Your top 10 running backs: Walter Payton 1, Jim Brown 2, Barry Sanders 3, Emmitt Smith 4, LaDainian 5, OJ 6.
I love LaDainian Tomlinson.
Eric Dickerson 7, Adrian Peterson, who will be a first ballot next year, I believe. 8.
Is that next year for AP?
I believe so. Marshall Faulk 9. Former Eagle for 10 seconds, Frank Gore, number 10. And then we'll do tight ends and wrap it up. Tight ends: Tony Gonzalez 1, Kelsey 2, Gronk 3, Shannon Sharp 4, Gates 5, Dave Casper 6, Jason Witten 7, Kellen Winslow, my personal favorite, 8, Ozzie Newsome 9, Jackie Smith 10 for old school fans. There you go. There you have it. Those are your skill position people.
Yeah, Saquon's far off right now in terms of running backs.
Yeah, I mean, it's too early. But
Shady McCoy's up there. I wonder if Shady gets in. I doubt it.
He's
right?
borderline. He's borderline, but I think he may get in because who's the Jets back that got in? Curtis Martin. He's right in that level. And if Curtis Martin got in, and he did, Shady's got a shot. I think he's got a legit shot.
We'll see.
I wish they would. They don't, but I wish they could give more weight to returners, because I think if you add the return aspect into his career as a running back, I think Darren Sproles deserves recognition, or at least deserves to be in the conversation, but they just don't think that way.
Yeah, then on tight end you mentioned, you got Kelsey and Gronk coming up. Obviously, Shannon Sharp, Antonio Gates, Casper, Gonzalez are all in. Jason Witten, you think Jason Witten will make it?
No, I said he's graded as top 10 by Pro Football References.
Yeah, no, he is. I was asking if you think he'll make it. They have this Hall of Fame monitor, I guess, and there's the average tight end score is 99. Yeah. He's at 105, so he's above it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think he should be talked about. Yeah, and ultimately his numbers are big enough, but I think he's a guy who will take a little while. But I think ultimately he'll get in.
One more I think we should do is tackle. Anthony Munoz, Forrest Gregg, Jim Parker, Willie Rofe, Joe Thomas, Ron Yeri, Gary Zimmerman, Bob Brown, Jonathan Ogden, Ron Mix. These are all Hall of Famers. Jim Tryer's not in. Jason Peters looks like the next guy, John, who would get in there. Tony Baselli got in, and Peters I think, did more than him. Lane's still down a little bit.
Lane's lower than somebody brought that up to me when we were discussing Kelsey and who was better, and I think Lane was just a better player for the Eagles. I mean, they're both great. They're both Hall of Famers in my mind. You know what hurts Lane? Two things. Early in his career, the shift didn't come. Like now, nobody gives a shit between right tackle and left tackle. But that's recent. And for years, like, they would put like all left tackles in the Pro Bowl and all left tackles on the All-Pro team. Like they didn't, like now when I added my vote, now we're told to put a left tackle on the right tackle. They never used to do that, which I didn't think was fair. and Lane's talked about it a lot over the years. So basically, the whole first half of his career, he was never considered much for any of that, even though he's one of the best tackles. I think ultimately, he's up to 5 now. I think ultimately
Gonna get in.
people will recognize, and once they start, one of the things and when you talk about Armando, and I've talked to these guys a lot over the years, the really good ones try to talk to their peers on to try to grade the pay. And when they talk to Lane Johnson's peers, I think it'll clarify to them, and he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that looks. All right, good stuff there. Good little Hall of Fame talk. Interesting stuff with what AJ could do. John, you think Antonio Brown will get into the Hall of Fame? Or will they avoid him because of
That's a good question. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame player, but he's a Hall of Fame idiot as well. So,
yeah, he is.
That will certainly affect him, but he's definitely a Hall of Fame player. He was a great receiver before he went off the rails.
We'll see if he gets in.